Hi, friends. It is I, host Eric. Questo de talking de femias de people plays. And I want to get myself more in the middle of this light here. So let's do este. Miggity, miggity, meow. Everything's as hard as a pia. Alright, hey, looking pretty good, right? Looking pretty pro. Looking like some kind of professional live streamer here. I've got the brick wall, I've got the live chat up, and I've got an interesting topic for tonight. Is the night really tender? Because according to that famous American writer, F. Scott Fitzgerald, if your name really is F, according to that famous writer, the answer is an unequivocal yes. Unequivocal yes. It's yes, the night is tender. That's why he wrote that book called Tender is the Night. But I question the veracity of this title. The night doesn't seem so much tender as it does dark to me. Dark would be a good adjective to use for the night. How about daytime free? Daytime free is the night. That makes sense. That's got me. I'm delighted to see me live, and the background is very cool. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I got it from the internet. With my own 2 fingers. That's the kind of miraculous work I do these days. Your nights are lonely? I'm sorry to hear that. Is that the opposite of tender? I would have thought a rough night would be the opposite of a tender night. I don't tend to find nights too rough. I tend to find them tender enough. I don't know if they're covered in dew exactly, but it seems like, now that you mention it, Winston's mom, my always was with wings bunch up a little bit less at night. Maybe that's what makes it tender, I guess. Jeremiah, Boba Fett, the other day, you each approached me separately and you said, Eric, do you ever feel not so fresh? Well, today, while there's not a lot of people here while I got you in private, let me just talk to you a little bit about Summer's Eve. Summer's Eve is an all-natural douche that can help your stinky puss become refreshed with freshness. I know it's an awkward question for girls like you, your age, but I used to until I discovered Summer's Eve. Don't even attempt to go with massengales. That's not good enough. Now I never feel not so fresh. Because I Summer's Eve at least 3 times a day. And when I'm done, people walk out and they go, is it evening in the month of June somewhere? July? Is it 9 o'clock at night in July? No, that's just my vagina, smelling like a summer's eve. Hello, Hambone. Long time no see. How's Buckley, Washington treating you? Well, I hope. What with its wild wildernesses and trees and so forth. Shreds McGee, it's been a while since I've seen you as well, so, you know, Hambone is not the only first time in a whiler. Tender is the night. I don't find the night particularly tender. That's my point. I do want to stress, though, that this live stream is going to be replete with things done tenderly, like this. Rachel, my darling, it is so nice to see you. May I tenderly greet you? I love you. Tenderly. Like that, see? Zion National Park, huh? Sounds like part of some kind of Zionist conspiracy. Good, kid. I'm glad you've been enjoying it. It's been enjoying you, too. It's been telling me you're the best lay it's had in years. So I'm not really sure exactly why I'm live streaming, except for the fact that I ran out of fun playing with that thing I was playing with before. I got kind of a cool piano loop with a beat. Could probably do a little bit more with the beat, but I don't know. It's pretty cool. It needs some other stuff, but not a bad little starter thing. It's good to freestyle over. I still do plan to try to set the world record for freestyling. The thing that I find is so very interesting about typology lately is the ways in which people's understandings of the world seem so defined by whether they're SI or NI. Like that tool I gave earlier, that test I gave earlier about saying a sentence and then repeating it back in the exact same words without NIing it at all. ENFJs have a hell of a time with that, you know? Like if I say, tomorrow evening, we'll be visiting with the extended family at the park. Like, that one's easy, right? Can anybody not repeat that one? That one's pretty easy. You should be able to get that word for word. In my opinion, even if you're SI polar, that one's so easy. But probably not if you're SI polar. To repeat it, and obviously it's a little different because I came up with it. What I said was, tomorrow evening we'll be visiting with the extended family at the park. Well, there you go, Shreds. If you're NI type, you find that extremely difficult to do because it's specifically asking you to retain the exact details of it that aren't relevant to its meaning. So it would mean the same thing if I said, at the park tomorrow evening, we'll be visiting with the extended family. It's just a different wording, right? Or, the aunts and uncles and everyone will be there at the park tomorrow evening when we visit. In other words, saying basically the same thing, you know? So, it's interesting to see how people react so differently to this test of can you repeat it back exactly. And what I seem to be learning from the comments is, in fact, it's cleaner than I had feared. It's cleaner than I had feared, which means specifically that it appears SI DOMs, at least ISFJs, are excellent at it beyond even INTPs. So it's like it just links to SI and maybe FE. I still posit that potentially ISTJs would do worse at this than ISFJs because they aren't as language oriented. That's a TI thing, Winston's mom. That's not an SI thing at all. So it depends how many steps I ask, right? So I asked the ENFJ I typed earlier. I said, "Who is my mother's husband in relation to me?" And it took him a while to figure it out, but that was because of his TI fourth, not because SI. Well, I mean, it's genuine, right? It's like I wanted people's opinion about it. When I say, like, I want your opinion about this, I want to read your comments, I want to see what you guys think about this, I'm not, unlike everybody else on YouTube, I'm not bullshitting. You know why? Because I almost never say that. Right? It's like I only say I'm interested in your comments when I actually am. Most of the time, I don't give a fuck what you think. So why would I say that? You know? Because this one, I'm curious. You know, I was curious, like, okay, how reliable is this thing? It seems like such a simple little thing to do, but for people with SI backstack, it seems surprisingly difficult. So anyway, I learned from those comments that, in fact, it seems ISFJs are probably the best at it. So far, are the ones who've responded. Now, granted, ISTJs rarely self-identify as ISTJs, and so I don't really know. Better get my friend Cameron to try it out and see how he does. Of course, typology, MBTI, whatever you want to call it, is tailor-made to potentially, at least, piss off SI DOMs. Because if you get an ISFJ who doesn't think she's an ISFJ, who thinks she's, say, I don't know, an ISFP, you're going to deeply offend her by telling her that, no, sorry, this NI label, you need to use NI like this. It's the same way as people telling me, you need to SE like this. I don't like it at all. And ISTJ is the same way. When you say, well, you're an ISTJ, and they go, well, no, I'm an INTP. What they're really saying is, I'm using NI for my SI purposes. I'm currently knowing myself as smart and creative. So don't try to tell me what to do with my NI. Of course, the problem is NI is an objective function. So it's like, well, I mean, yeah, but, you know, you're not. Is the thing, right? It's like, I get that this is really important to you, that your self-identity is an INTP or whatever, but the fact is you're not. And if you want to accurately understand yourself, that's going to have to cascade down to inform you about who you are actually, rather than how you'd like to be, I guess. Or how you perceive yourself. So it's like a person can certainly be creative and smart and an ISTJ. The point is they're not going to be comparatively extrovertedly intuitive or comparatively introvertedly thinking against an actual INTP. I mean, that's something that we can see in the chat here easily enough, because we've got a person who identifies as INTP but is almost certainly probably an ISTJ, and the difference between actual INTP's comments and his comments is quite striking, quite stark. The other thing about SI types versus NI types, but this is also true of SI fourth or maybe even third, is we have trouble understanding sometimes what people mean when they ask, well, what does this physically feel like? Like when I asked the ENFJ, thank you. When I asked the ENFJ, I just got it from the internet. It's not like I made it or anything. When I asked the ENFJ to to tell me about how sadness felt as a physical sensation in the body, he said depressed. It's like, that's not a bodily sensation. When so I did the plastics in the ocean thing where I go, okay, it's all plastics in the ocean. And like everybody, he starts at this really universal level of, well, we need to identify where plastics are coming from and try to stop blah, 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 okay? And then, what was I saying? Oh, and then I said, okay, well, if I told you instead of making, solving the problem in general, just make a dent in it right now yourself, what would you do? He said he would go get some people together and give a speech and motivate them to go pick up plastic. How ridiculous is that? That's so funny, it makes me feel like I'm on DMT. Why wouldn't you go just pick up the plastic yourself? Because you're an ENFJ. That's why. I wish I had some DMT right now, that'd be fun. I like DMT a lot. I like being stupid, Rachel and I made some fun shorts tonight. So the shorts experiment is ongoing and confusing as ever. I've shifted to, I shifted for a day or so here to once every 3 hours for the uploads. And now I'm moving it to once every 4 hours for the uploads. I'm trying to find the spot where, I think what's happening is YouTube basically says, you only get a chance with so many of your shorts a day, and the rest of them we just can't even give them a chance on the feed. So if I could figure out how many shorts that YouTube will treat as legitimate contenders, it may be Boba Fett, maybe. Maybe one day I will. Then I'll get to know what ego death is like. Whew. Can't wait. Ego death. The problem with my ego is that it keeps being so alive. What the fuck is ego death supposed to be anyway? Does anybody have any actual idea what that is? Besides just nonsense words? Like, what is that supposed to be? Or does anybody have any concept of what the terms ego death mean? I mean, the important thing, Boba Fett, to remember is that I have had lots of very intense drug experiences over the course of my life, and I never talked about them in magical ways. So it's not surprising that I don't talk about DMT that way either. Okay, well, see, in a genuine loss of sense of self, though, that occurs with a dissociative drug. So a dissociative drug, like ketamine or PCP, is going to genuinely give you a loss of sense of self. And it's not a pleasant feeling. It's very scary. It's not good. It's not good at all. What you're talking about is something different. It's being so tripping balls that you just it's just like, okay, I don't even know, right? If that, or it's just silent. Like the time I was sitting in the having this bad trip in Santa Cruz, and I was just watching the clock go 4:59, 5 o'clock, 4:59, 5 o'clock, for God knows how long. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Because I don't even think I had the capacity to say that, right? So that's what you're talking about. But that's not ego death, right? That's not what anybody could meaningfully be called ego death or any kind of magical experience. You're just tripping really hard. Yeah, that kind of stuff, right. That kind of stuff. You're just tripping balls, you know? It's not... The idea that we try to ascribe some kind of magical levels to it or whatever, that's the problem. When people try to do that, they misunderstand the nature of drugs entirely. And they get it wrong, and, you know, they fuck up the experience for everybody. Drugs are fun, okay? They don't open the doors of perception. They don't kill your ego. They don't take you to a place you learn some grand truth from or something. I did gather quite a bit of information from the SI test. Yeah, what I gathered is it appears to be a more straight-ahead correlation than I had hypothesized in the video. In other words, SI DOMs seem to be the best at it, not SI third. And now, of course, that's ISFJs, not so much ISTJs, which I don't have very many people who self-identify as ISTJs. So anyway, back to this little pet peeve of mine. People who romanticize or mystify drugs a lot tend to try to tell me things about my drug experiences. Like, oh, you haven't done real meow meow meow. If you had, then you wouldn't be talking about it like this. No, I would still be talking about it like this. It may be the case that I've not had meow 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 meow, but if I did, I'd still be talking about it like this. Remember, it's not like I haven't had very powerful drug experiences on other strong psychedelics. I have. And I didn't talk about them stupidly either. There's no reason to. You're lying to yourself. You're getting caught up in this kind of weird make-believe world of bullshit, like hippie nonsense. The only thing you can call it is hippie nonsense. I don't know what else to call it. It's like they're imagining themselves some sort of like tribal people in the jungle and having this life-changing, medicine man-y kind of spirit guide experience or something. Like, no. I mean, savages may be stupid enough to think that's what's happening, but civilized people are smart enough to know better. Right? Doesn't that make sense to everybody? Only stupid hippies think like that. No, he wasn't. Don't try to mush out the clarity here, Winston's mom. He very specifically said, yes, it can be synthesized and is. We clarified with Jonathan Basanti that yes, then as a matter of fact, it could be in the pen. I pointed out that this particular individual from whom I got it gets the highest quality stuff from the dark web and is very good at what he's doing. He's got all kinds of crazy shit that I wouldn't even want to touch. Like I said, like benzos that'll turn you into a zombie for a week with just a teeny micro dot of it. Like shit like that, right? He's got a wild array of extreme things. So that he would have some special variety of it would not at all be inconsistent with what we know. That it can be synthesized and smoked in a vape is not at all inconsistent with what we know. The only reason Peter didnt disagreed with that being a possible cause why at that time DMT affected Rachel differently is because I didn't talk mystically enough about it. And in fact, when he tried to verify whether or not I had done it, he tried to ask me questions about my subjective drug experience. That's not informative of anything. Because, I mean, obviously, his perceptions of a subjective drug experience are wildly unrelated to reality. their make-believe hippie shit. So if I don't say his make-believe hippie language, then he's going to think I didn't do a hard drug or something. It's like, just go fuck yourself so hard. That is not how to think. That's not an acceptable way to even approach any problem ever, period. Think about it. After I pointed out that he did not know whether I had done it or not, he tried to clarify that he did know by asking me questions about my subjective drug experience, even though I had made it abundantly clear that I'm not somebody who talks stupidly about drugs like him. I mean, just appalling on every sense of the word. There's no redemption there. There's nothing to be redeemed for him, okay? There's no smoothing it over. There's no mushing it out. There's no making it less black and white. That's what it is, okay? We were not speaking different languages or whatever. He was concluding things about which drugs I had done based on my lack of magical talk. And there's no other way to put it, okay? When we actually got down to the bottom of it, wait, so is it synthesized or not? Yes, it is. Can it be put in vape pen spokes or not? Yes, it can. Well, then there's only one possible reason why he had, which is he doesn't like the way I talk about drugs. You know, but that's because he talks stupidly about them, and my not talking stupid about them makes him feel foolish. As he should. Okay? We're not on some sort of spirit journey. For fuck's sake. Ego death. Don't be so gay. You know? You make drugs uncool when you talk like that. Drugs are supposed to be cool. Not super gay and uncool. So, yeah. The best thing you can do for Peter Didnt is not try to find some way of framing it as though we were just talking past each other or something, but give him a good stern scolding. It's the best thing you can do. Hey, Peter Didnt, what you tried to pull there was totally bullshit. Eric was right. There was no miscommunication, no function bias conflicts or whatever. You were just being ontologically oppressive in trying to conclude things about what drugs he took based on whether or not he met your standard of magical talk enough. It's like, no, that's not okay. Especially not the way he did it, which is he initiated it as, hey, there's a prima facie burden has been met here. No, that's not a possible explanation because it's not possible you did it. Which is fine if you've got something like, no, I couldn't possibly have been there because I was in Vegas and this crime happened here. Yeah, something like that, fine. But he didn't have anything of the sort. And then he thought he was going to question me about my subjective experience so that he could garner what he considered evidence. He had already attempted the prima facie approach. There's no time for that there. That's insane. If he's going to make the prima facie case, he's going to say Eric doesn't have a prima facie case here, and so we don't need to discuss the issue on a contingent level further. He better have an actual fucking prima facie argument to make. For fuck's sake. I mean, can you imagine a lawyer going into court and saying, let's get this thing tossed because my client is factually innocent. There's no way he could possibly be on the scene of the crime. Okay, so what's your evidence? Well, he really likes Judge Judy, and it was on at that time. That is not an example of something you take to the judge and say, hey, we don't even need to hear the case. This is a situation where the prosecution fails to meet its prima facie burden. I mean, it's insulting to everybody involved, right? That's exactly what happened here. You don't say, this case doesn't need to be discussed unless you have a legitimate prima facie argument. Otherwise, you're just scuttling in the most wicked possible way. So, no, everything gets to have its case heard unless there's a legitimate prima facie reason why it shouldn't. And that's the biggest problem here with what Peter didnt did. He tried to shut down the discussion of the matter as irrelevant, moot, impossible to meaningfully inform the situation because it was impossible that we had done that drug, even though he had zero good reason to believe that. Zero. None. So that's very offensive, and yes, we should all yell at him for that. That's how you ruin civilization, is by saying, let's not discuss things that should be discussed. Bad, evil, and wicked. So, there's no smoothing it over, no painting it pink, no positioning it as whatever. There are certain basic civilities that people expect in the world, like, don't prevent me from finishing my sentence unless you genuinely have a good reason to. And you can have a genuine good reason. Like, for example, I'm thinking, Grandma got hurt in New York City. I'm thinking maybe she got hurt at the Twin Towers, at the top of the Twin Towers, because, hold it right there. The Twin Towers no longer exist. Oh, okay. Well, that's a good reason to interrupt and say, you don't have any reason to think about this further. It's predicated on something objectively false. To make that claim about something that's not objectively the case is to do the worst crime imaginable, to try to shut down discussion of something that needs to be discussed because you don't like the discussion. That's just no. You must get my firmest shaming for that. Favorite potato chips? You know what I kind of like a lot? I kind of like those sharp cheddar and sour cream. Is that what they are? Sour cream and cheddar or something? These orange chips. They're good. I like them. I also like a certain amount of sour cream and onion. I like Doritos a lot. Cool Ranch Doritos a little less, but sometimes you're in the mood for Cool Ranch Doritos, Well, the point is, I was trying to analyze something that happened with Rachel, right? Rachel experienced a significant health scare, significant health reason, a significant health problem that required her to go to the hospital at one point and everything. And there's a curiosity regarding it. We know it was caused by a toxic drug interaction the last time she did DMT with some other things, right? But why didn't DMT ever cause that toxic drug interaction prior? So Peter didnt comes in saying, hey, I found out that with MAOIs, of which SSRIs are a variety, so to speak, it's only MEO5 DMT has a bad mix with it, not regular DMT. So naturally I said, well, that might explain it. And he said, no, you've never done that one. Well, of course, he has no fucking way of knowing what I've done. No way whatsoever. And what he was predicated it on, of course, was how I was talking about DMT on those occasions when I was hitting it on the stream. Now, you can do DMT in a couple of different ways. If you got a clean head and you go super hard, obviously you're not really going to be able to talk for a while, But it doesn't last a super long time. So the point is, because he experienced me talking about DMT or being able to talk on DMT and not treating it as some sort of sacred magical thing, but treating it as like a party drug, he saw that and said, well, you must not have real DMT. Real DMT does you can't sustain a self like that. You have ego death. Well, that's just not the case with me. My self is one that talks a lot and observes a lot and doesn't or I guess I say makes a lot of observations, and doesn't just sit back and wait to see what happens or something and then decides what it means later. It's just not my nature. So why would it be my nature on drugs? It's not. This kind of, that in that regard, it is an element of his frame bias, his function bias projection. But it really makes me angry because it's bad enough that he talks so stupidly about drugs in the first place. You should never treat drugs as something magical, self-growth orienting. It's not the way to grow as a self. It's to do drugs, okay? Sorry, it just... no. Duh. And no, there's no enlightenment to be found at the end of some drug trip. No, you're not going to have ego death and come back, finally seeing the oneness of everything, or whatever other kind of bullshit people tell you. That is not what drugs are for. So there's two things that are super offensive about it. One, I talk intelligently about them. He's talking stupidly about them. Two, he thinks he knows my subjective drug experience because I'm not talking stupidly about it like him, that it must be weaker than his in some regard. Or that I haven't attained the right level or something. It's like, okay, tard. Look, it's tardy enough that you talk this way about drugs anyway. Don't try to think that your bullshit nonsense is a good metric to evaluate my actual experience. That's just insane, right? That's just absolutely insane. Good morning, DDX. So yeah, I got kind of mad about that. And I've forgotten about it, but Winston's mom tried to split a baby in half. Winston's mom, there are some babies in the world that can successfully be split in half, like a block of cheese. There are some babies in the world that cannot be split in half, like a baby. In this case, it's the latter sort of thing. This is all Peter Dentici's bad. No accidental miscommunication or anything. This is him being a bad person and not listening to me. It's him being ontologically assaultive. And he needs to stop. I mean, I'm used to have to telling him to stop. Maybe one of these days he'll get used to listening to me. You know? It's like, Eric, what are you bitching about? You know this is how he is. Because he's still like this. I've explained plenty of times. So you should learn something. I mean, can you imagine coming in with a piece of information that literally seems tailor-made to be presented as a means of informing us about other potentialities about our situation? Why else would he even bring it up, right? Our first reaction is to thank him for the useful information. But then he proceeds to say, oh, no. I didn't mention this because I thought it might be informative to you. Why did you mention it then? I mean, do you normally go about talking about SSRIs having potentially bad drug interactions with DMT outside of my and Rachel experience with it? I doubt it. Right? So why even come in with this information? I mean, okay, so let's say he did have a good prima facie case. He would come in and say, hey, I found some information. For a second, I thought it was going to be really informative, but it's not because of meh. But he doesn't have any meh. So he's brought this informative information that we can use to potentiate explanations. Not to be sure about anything, not to conclude anything, but to potentiate explanations. And he's saying, no, you can't even potentiate them because they're predicated on a false assumption. And yet has absolutely nothing to back up that claim. Like, what the fuck are you doing, you crazy nonsense man? I mean, I don't know if Taylor's done it or not. But I'll tell you this. I sat there with my friend who had the same skepticism as Peter didnt. Okay? He wanted to see for himself me smoke plenty of it to get there and do it right and everything. And I definitely did. I exceeded his expectations. Massive lungfuls of... And I was fully DMT'd out, you know? But what more do you want me to say about it? No, I didn't see any little elves. I'm sorry. Oh, well, you didn't get there yet then. Maybe I just don't see elves on the ship, you know? I mean, when I say I go hard, motherfuckers. I'm an old head, you know? And the thing is, I did it a bunch of times. I did it in a bunch of different ways. I hit it super, super hard after on a clean head. And then sometimes I hit it kind of a little bit. You can treat it like a party drug. But, you know, it's like, what were you hitting and inhaling during the club INTP typing session? I mean, it was either weed or nitrous. That's all I have lately. So, you know, at that point, my friend was convinced. Okay, my bad. Okay, you are doing it right and doing enough of it. Now, note, he had the same kind of magical experiences with the same stuff that he and I were both smoking that Peter didnt attributes to his real DMT, okay? So, my friend and Peter didnt would be talking the same language about this shit. And Peter didnt would be convinced that my friend had the real stuff. Why? Because he talked about it like that. Here's the problem. I was smoking the same stuff. You see how offensive that shit is? Well, I am kind of curious about why that offends me so much. Like, this guy thinks he's going to tell me about drugs, my drug experiences, what they mean, what's possible and not possible. Man, I was doing drugs before you were a twinkle in your father's eye. So, I'm one of America's great loadies. Don't be bringing your hippie bullshit around me. I mean, that's the thing. I don't have good connect. My friend hooked me up, you know? And last time I was there, I got in a fight with his wife, so there goes that. I gotta fix that. Anyway, basically you go on the dark web and get it. You gotta get Tor, You gotta use a VPN and get Tor. You gotta be careful. You gotta do it the right way. Do some research. But if you do, it's actually quite safe, and you'll get it in the mail. You gotta pay with crypto, of course. But yeah, I've never done it myself. I don't know the specifics of it. Sounds like a lot of TE. Sounds a little scary. Sounds a little sketchy. You know. So it's life in the big city. I wish more people who were fans of Talking with Fan People lived in Los Angeles, because there are a fair number of regulars around Talking with Fan People who have drugs that I want to do and would probably hook me up if they were nearby. But the ones who were nearby don't seem to have drugs, so I could drive to Arizona, maybe. I'm confident if I drive to Arizona, I can get drugs to do, like mushrooms. You probably really want to do is mushrooms. But drive to Arizona, I mean, I could. For the bit that you did, just the end of a joint is enough to find peace for 3 months of pure clearness. I mean, what does clearness mean? What did you join Scientology? What was muddled before that became clear and remained clear for 3 months that is no longer clear? I mean, look, I too, when I do mushrooms, have a sense for the next couple of days like this. That stuff that was kind of weighing down on me and making me feel like a sense of dread. It's not right. I was worrying about it. No reason to worry about that shit. I'm stressing for no reason. I got that kind of sense of attitude. It does last for a few days after I do mushrooms. Okay, but what you said, Mattias, was for the bit that I did, just the end of a joint. So, and then you said you don't need anything. But what I'm asking is, what was it that you did that caused that thing? Nothing or something? We could maybe go do something next month. I don't know. My dad's out of town right now. He's in Laughlin at the Golden Nugget Hotel and Casino. Pretty surprising results in tonight's basketball games. Arizona lost to Arkansas, and Gonzaga lost. No. Gonzaga lost to... Okay, Arizona and Gonzaga both lost. One of them lost to Arkansas. The other one lost to... Houston. Houston beat Gonzaga, and I think, and Arkansas beat Arizona, or vice versa. Anyway, that was kind of a surprise. A little disappointing. I was hoping for Arizona to go all the way. I'm a Pac-12 fan. UCLA is still in the mix. We'll see if UCLA wins tomorrow night. UCLA is playing. They got kind of fortunate in their bracket. They're part of the bracket. Who are they playing? They're not playing Baylor. They're playing somebody else. Who the fuck's UCLA playing tomorrow night? Providence is playing Kansas tomorrow night. And UCLA is playing somebody. Is it Purdue? No. Purdue's playing St. Peter's. Purdue's playing St. Peter's. Oh, I get it. That must be why it's so magical. The other thing is, I don't understand what the fixation here across the board is with visuals. I don't find visuals from psychedelics to be the thing about them that's particularly interesting or mind-blowing or whatever. So that seems to be an obsession with a lot of people that I don't have. Maybe I'm just not a particularly visual person. I see plenty of visuals, but I see them as also irrelevant. It's 8 slot SE, I guess. It's my most unconscious function. Why pay attention to that nonsense? What does that have to do with anything? I'm talking. You know? That's just my relationship. It's always been my relationship with psychedelics. Yeah, I get it. You see things weird. What do you do? Let's all have a party. The weird thing about psychedelics is after you do them a few times, the pattern imposition thing starts sticking. Like, so you're not on acid anymore, but you're still seeing these like pyramidal fucking shapes and things and stuff, right? And that lasts for a while, but it eventually goes away. That's if you do too much acid. That's after you've done too much acid. That's what happens. It depends. Like the stuff about being in darkness to see full patterns and everything. I was closed, blah, blah, blah. You can see love being bought everywhere. You must live in a land of much prostitution. All rounding in everywhere. Happening, it's pretty funny. Just call me like home and you feel in the air inside of you and all. Visuals is the demonstration of what's happening inside of you, like pure data being tapped in like an open frequency, like angels, pure geometry, impossible, all lines crossing with each other. Look. Yeah, those permanent patterns can last a long time. And what it really is it's making patterns out of random shapes. It's constructing them, you know. With DMT, it's a much different experience. So, one thing about DMT is your DMT trips seem to be not necessarily similar to one another, depending on the batch you get and or how you smoke it, context in which you smoke it, and stuff like that. So it's like let me explain the experience of DMT from an SI person's experience, okay? Not from an NI perspective. Because that's what's making me so mad here, is the invalidation of the actual experience and the replacement of the actual experience with these bullshit meanings that don't universalize as though they did, okay? So the actual experience for me is I smoke a shit ton of it, and time starts going ultra slow, right? Like, I don't notice it's going slow, really, but, you know, a long time from now, I realize 1 minute has passed or something. And the next thing that usually happens is I get super cold. And no matter what temperature it is. And then I wrap myself up in a blanket. And then I'm just like kind of thoughtless, kind of like Zen thoughtless for a while. Like, just everything's comfortable, good, and true, and just, right? And straightforward. And uncluttered with thoughts. And then, after a little bit, I think of something funny. And then I start thinking thoughts again. And it's, from that point forward, it's usually me laughing about something that I'm finding funny. So, the thing is, note what I didn't talk about. I didn't talk about visuals. Does that mean there weren't any visuals in those experiences? Yes, there definitely were visuals. You know, like everything looks like a 3D rendering of itself, even though it's already in 3D, if that makes any sense. But the reason I didn't talk about it is because my attentional manners are not such that I'm attending to such externalities and making meanings about them, especially not universal meanings about them. That doesn't mean that I'm not getting it, okay? It means you're not respecting the way that different epistemological approaches work. Janae is here. You guys remember Janae? She's friends with Lele and Babebe. And the three of them made those three guys, remember? Winston's mom it's a great quote. I love it. But the first part doesn't apply to me. It's taken me 50 years, but I don't think one thing today and another thing tomorrow. I've got my affirmations pretty well down. I know what I affirm, I know what I negate, and I'm pretty goddamn consistent about it. However, it is true that all that's really the matter with me is a crazy defiance and a lack of proportion. That is absolutely good. Why would you be so defiant about everything, Art? Well, because I am. Because don't tell me what to do. I don't ask you to love me always like this, but I ask you to remember, somewhere inside me, there will always be the person I am tonight. I guess my quote would be, I hope you like this, because this is what you're going to get from now on. Is it cool? Is it good enough? Or not? You know? That's how I feel about it. I'll try to do better over time, but basically, this is what you get. You're not going to have to look for it. It's right there all the time. Oh, sure. Sometimes I'm in a dickish mood, but I don't ever really take that out on Rachel or anything. I mean, she may be experiencing some of the negative consequences of it because I'm not in a very good mood, so I'm less fun to be around, I guess. But it usually plays out as, I want to lie down, I want to watch cartoons, I don't want to meow, I feel meow. Not much more than that. Just me complaining a little bit. Not complaining about her. Complaining about how meow things are. Well, you know what Scott Fitzgerald said today? He said, tender is the night. So if you like things that are tender, it makes sense that you'd love nighttime. And the original title was Tender is the Steak. It's about how to grill a good cut of steak. Hi, Alien 60. The publisher said, no, we need more sex in this. We're talking about some famous couples earlier, so it's like, if you were to talk about Paul McCartney's wife, I forget what her name is, let's call her Lady McPoo. She was, before getting with Paul McCartney, a famous photographer in her own right. But now she'll just always be remembered as Paul McCartney's wife. If you look at somebody like Yoko Ono, well, she was a earnest, active, albeit aesthetically iffy artist before she got with John Lennon. Then she gets with John Lennon, she basically can't do her own art anymore. It's been subsumed by her relationship with the Beatles. Then you look at somebody like Ike and Tina Turner. Tina Turner goes on to be famous and have a long career. Ike Turner, who's originally the star, devolves into, I guess, substance abuse related death of some sort. I'm not really sure what happened to him, but anyway, three different stories, three very different outcomes, perceptions, realities, or whatever. And the reason we were talking about this is because there's this song that I sometimes will put on in the car, YouTube mix. It'll show you like the first song in the mix, and it'll give you songs that are kind of like that. So, if you put Billy Joel mix, give you like Billy Joel songs and Billy Joel like songs. Anyway, it was on like kind of like poppy indie rock mix of sorts. And there's this song about, it lists a bunch of women's names, including Carole King, Paul McCartney's wife, somebody else. And Rachel and I were trying to figure out what's going on here. Is this song about famous dudes' wives? Is it trying to be like, because it's dudes singing, right? So is it trying to be like, we're feminists? Or if so, why pick these women? Anyway. Well, Yoko Ono is an interesting character in general. But I was struck like, okay, first of all, I don't like this, what appears to be pandering. Like, why are these people like, we're paying tribute to the ladies out there, kind of? It's like, ew. It just makes me want to ew a lot, you know? If that's what's going on. I haven't really pieced together exactly what's going on with the song. But it also made me realize that, in contrast, I have a song about Helen Gurley, who was the founder of Cosmopolitan magazine. But it was because I had been reading about Helen Gurley before I made that song. It's not because I thought, I'm going to pay tribute to a woman or something. Which is just too gay to tolerate. And when I made that video about history's greatest loadies, about that lady who came up with the expression, I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy, and also, you can lead a horticulture, but you can't make her think. That lady, when I made that video, celebrating how awesome she was, in no way, shape, or form was I trying to be like, here, ladies, even you have somebody to celebrate, and I'm on your side. How super overly, incredibly, stupidly gay is that? Well, the answer is very. Instead, I made it because I was like, wow, this lady's fucking got some snap to her writing. And I'd long thought about making a series called America's Greatest or History's Greatest Loadies, which include people like W.C. Fields, perhaps, who was famously drunk, and or Winston Churchill, famously drunk, and other people. But this lady, I was so smitten with her witticisms that I was inclined to make a video. I've made videos about dudes equivalently as well. The point is, if you're going to make some kind of art, and you're a dude, please, for the love of God, don't make some song that basically is saying, here's some ladies from history we respect. Oh my fucking God. That makes me want to puke. I'm puking right now. President Grant has been considered for the list. I don't know if he's really that great, though. Unlike Churchill. Churchill did a great job while being a drunk. Grant got a C. Grant earns a C on everything, basically. C minus, C plus. He gets a C plus for the chicken story, where I speak those same words to face with her. Who? With who? Who am I talking about? I forget what we're talking about. Anyway, Helen Gurley's interesting. She's an interesting character. She, I guess, founded and ran Cosmopolitan magazine for a long ass time. But I don't know if it was she who came up with the classic Cosmopolitan magazine tease, 10 surprising ways to please your man in bed. Now, for many, many years, each month I'd look in the aisle of the supermarket at Cosmopolitan magazine and I'd note, once again, there were more surprising ways to please my man in bed. And eventually I thought, at some point, these ways have got to cease to be surprising or pleasing or both. I mean, I can think of 10 ways to surprise your man in bed, infinite ways, no problem. We can think of infinite ways to surprise your man in bed. But the key here is the ways that you're surprising are supposed to be sexually pleasing. So that really limits the scope of your surprise box, right? To draw from. Hunter S. Thompson, definitely one of history's great loadies. Just by virtue of the fact that he was such a rebel. He had his middle fingers constantly raised at everybody all the time, no matter what. And you gotta kind of admire somebody for that. Wow, you got a lot of fuck you in you. You've got an overflowing abundance of fuck off. I gotta say, sir, you bring a lot of fuck off to the world and we all appreciate it. Others of history's greatest loadies. Let's see. Well, you might include, kind of obscure, but what's his name? I forget his name. Let's see. Other great loadies in history. Well, there's this mathematician. I really love this story. Okay. Mathematician started getting into doing speed. And doing a bunch of math stuff, right? On speed. And one of his mathematician friends said, I'm worried about you. I think you're addicted to this stuff. And he said, well, fine, let's make a bet. I'll stop doing it for a month. And if I do, then you'll agree I'm not addicted to it. And he said, fine. So the mathematician kicked it for a month. And then after the month, he said, well, we've done two things here. You've proved I'm not addicted to it, and you've set the progress of mathematics back a month. Isn't that fantastic? Hemingway, Jack London, one of history's great loadies. Drank himself to death. Great writer, though. Short story genius. The thing about Hunter S. Thompson's suicide is he provided clear justifications for it. And they were all, I can't handle the shitty SI anymore. In other words, SI fourth does not like discomfort. They will not put up with discomfort indefinitely. You know? He couldn't do the drugs he wanted to do anymore. He was in pain. He couldn't move around. He saw things just going downhill from there. He explained it all. How weird is that, right? He explained the whole thing. But, hey, you found the guy, huh? Isn't that a great quote? You set back the progress of mathematics a month. Oh, that's fucking fantastic. See, the thing is, I think if I were gonna do that, I would want to throw myself into a volcano. Because then there's no waste. There's no coffin. There's no embalming. There's no, you know. There's nothing to clean up. No bones. You don't have to worry about, like, oh, the coyotes are going to come dig up the dead body or something. No. Just toss me in the volcano. It's the best way to get rid of bodies, really. It should be a standard operating procedure. Diogenes? Was Diogenes addicted to something? I mean, Burroughs? What about William Burroughs? He wrote Junkie. He was not only a drug addict, but quite the enthusiast of gay whoring. Why, he's got an entire chapter on anal mucus. Prior to reading Burroughs, I had no idea such a thing existed. I wish I hadn't learned. Oh, the fuck offs? Well, you know, a lot of people have a lot of fuck off in them, and it usually doesn't turn out that great. I feel fortunate because I have a manageable amount of fuck off in me, and it seems to be turning out okay. You know, I also have a manageable amount of fuck me in me. I used to have an unmanageable amount of fuck me. Like, I used to really hate myself a lot. I really did not like myself. There's nothing about me that I liked. There's nothing about me to like. Well, maybe then what I could do is get a water slide, and a very long water slide, and put it from the edge of the volcano down to the magma. I mean, if you land enough in the magma to burn your legs off, I'm pretty sure you can manage to finish yourself off at that point. What, is all of a sudden it dry up and, oh no, my legs burned off, but I can't get to the rest of the magma now. How does that happen? How does that happen, show media? Explain that one to me. What I respect about you is I never heard you say fuck off to wonder. Yeah, maybe wondering is my superpower. I wonder about things. Oh, that's useful, Eric. Yeah. I wonder about this. I wonder about that. Ooh, I wonder what would happen if we mad. I wonder what I'm going to do later. That's why you gotta dive head first, show media. Obviously, not feet first. Think about it. Like this. Pew! Mm-hmm. You gotta go head first into the lava. If you want to make it quick and painless, it's still gonna probably be kind of hot. But you know, how long can you last really on in molten lava? Probably not very long. Yeah, maybe getting a crane. Of course, the crane operator would have to worry about the heat even high above the volcano, potentially weakening the crane metal and making it go, right? You don't want your crane to get flaccid in the middle of action. I will say fuck off to Stevie Wonder, though, Winston's mom. If you'd like me to. Do you have a beef with Stevie Wonder? Is that what you're trying to say? Well, yeah, you want to get directly into the middle of the hottest part of the lava. You don't want to tiptoe your way in. It's not like you want to wade in, right? That's a bad approach to offing yourself in lava. You don't want to, like, get your feet in there and then dip your hands in and splash some on your face. That would be a bad way to do it. For sure. Boy, this is warm. That's all the skins burning off of your skull, If you really want to do it right, though, if you want the best possible way to off yourself, what you need is a very small nuclear bomb, about the size of this, that's activated when you bite it. And then, you don't want to have to crawl away from a failed lava suicide. That's why we're talking about option B. Option B is a very small bite-activated nuclear bomb. If you explode a nuclear bomb in your head, in your mouth, that's big enough to, let's just say it's 1 kiloton of TNT. That's how small it is. 1 kiloton. You don't sink into lava? You burn on top of it like a hamburger grilling? Okay, so now we need to change our lava plans a little bit. I need to be projectile forced into the lava at high speed so that I'll be able to penetrate the surface. Okay, so it might be true if you just fall on lava, you don't sink. But what if I'm shot out of a cannon directly into the lava at high velocity? What if I'm wearing an armor-piercing suit? Well, that would suck, okay. That would suck. That's why I hire only the most reputable bite-activated nuclear bomb manufacturer to make my bite-activated nuclear bomb. Also, I'd like my bite-activated nuclear bomb to be a fission bomb instead of a fusion bomb. if possible, if that's okay with everybody. So anyway, I mean, I guess probably the best way, if you're gonna try to off yourself with as little pain and as quickly as possible, you want to factor in both quickness and a lack of pain, would be to throw yourself off of a very tall place onto some sharp things, right? But of course, what you're not accounting for in that instance is you've got the time period between when you leapt and when you hit the ground, and there's a psychic trauma that you're incurring there that is probably just as dramatic as the physical trauma, although a little less pressing in its urgency, perhaps. But I imagine if you jump from high enough and you splat enough, then it'd be rather instantaneous, you know? Or like, Well, I guess you could set up like a very sharp sword right at neck length that is very stably anchored and just run at it full speed. But if you don't run at it fast enough and you don't cut all the way through, that's not good, right? You have to be very sharp, and you have to be very passionate about your running. One way that would definitely be bad to die, I think, terrible to die, would be drowning. That sounds awful. Suffocating in general sounds awful. Interesting, Silent. Thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it. I found people's comments very informative. I think that I've learned a lot from that little video there. Considering time to learning ratio is very low to high. Yeah, 9mm hollow point to the head. Okay, well, yes. I mean, you want something that's going to be big, right? It's going to leave a hole in the side of your head like this, not like this, alright? So I don't know about guns very much, but I can't sleep. Well, you are correct in deducing that I am not sleeping. Can I sleep? I'd have to try to be able to tell you if I can or not. Probably I could if I tried. I could probably get some sleep right now. Will I sleep? Eventually, yes. Do I wish I were sleeping? No. Hold up 2 random objects and ask everyone to tell you about their wedding? I'm just playing, Alexander. I'm not really trying to be difficult. I'm just playing. I'm just playing a silly game called Be Difficult with Everyone. It's a silly game, it's not much fun unless you're me. And even then it's not fun, 'cause you've got to explain yourself and say this is what I was doing. Gosh, I didn't mean to be such a dick, but you know, that's gonna be my ruin. It seems implicit to whatever I do in front of this brick wall. Perhaps it makes me feel extra mean and tall. CJ O'Connell. Hey. Hey guys, look at CJ. He doesn't want to follow YouTube's rules. You know what you need to do, CJ? Just bite the bullet. Just bite down on that stiff cock and say, alright, fine, YouTube, I'll follow your rules. Oh, really? You were playing back? Well, I've got news for you. When I said I was playing back to your playing back. So, I'm one ahead of you still. Nay. Oh, God, nay. Flow State will back me up on this. American spirits, yay or nay? Dear Lord, nay is the correct answer to that. I'm sorry that you've lost your great uncle. You know, great uncle actually can be a rather close relationship. I got along quite well with my Uncle Augie. Nay AF, okay? Alright, well, what do you think about this? As a quick way to go. Frighten yourself to death. Make something jump out at you and surprise you all of a sudden. Is it the age making you wiser or just your function stack? Am I wiser? I mean, I am wiser than I used to be, but when you say wiser, it's not clear. Wiser than what? Being wiser than I used to be doesn't necessarily mean I'm wiser than you, or wiser than wise old Joe over there who's 10 years old even, you know. I've definitely become wiser than I used to be, which is simply to say, I don't say as many stupid things, I don't do as many stupid things, I don't forget as many things that have big harms, and I don't hate myself anymore like I used to. I used to hate myself. When I was a drunk, at a certain point I started just hating myself. Which MBTI type is likely to go for American spirits? Mostly the gay types, I'd say. You know, your ENFPs, INFPs maybe, SFPs, I don't know. People who believe in hippie nonsense. I believe in hippie nonsense. Things like ego, death, and American spirits. Even though they're super stupid and they're gay. I mean, it'd be very easy. All you have to do is get me a drink. Thing is, I'm pretty at peace with my shortcomings, you know. I recognize the ways in which I'm, you know, where I score high, where I score low. How people could choose to frame me as a loser or a success, or I'm very aware of all the different possible ways that I can be framed. The difference between now and used to be is now none of those are particularly impactful. Don't tell me I'm kind of hippie. I'm not kind of hippie. I've got on a Super Bowl shirt. Okay? Okay, now look. James Careless, nobody can dispute your TE point here, alright? Sure, if you want to smoke a cigarette the last 25 minutes, go ahead and buy American Spirits. Fantastic, you know? Here's the problem. Nobody wants to smoke a cigarette that lasts that long. That's not the point of cigarettes. It's not to have this they're not cigars, for fuck's sake. They're this little tweaky little habit you got. In fact, half the times I'm tempted to buy those miniature ones just because it's like a full king size one is a little bit too long for a single smoke, you know? So yeah, sure. If you're a Native American with nothing better to do than sit around and wait for the buffalo to walk by, go ahead and smoke your American Spirits. But I'm a hard-working, regular American man. I got a lot of stuff to do. Earlier, I had to play with some of my dolls. Prior to that, we had to go to the weed store. I had a typing today. I had to work for an hour today. 1 hour. 60 minutes. So don't tell me about what it means to be a high achiever, a hard worker, a doer, somebody who gets shit done. Alright? That's me in a nutshell. I ain't got time for your Indian cigarettes, alright? I had to make dinner. Me. I started the barbecue. I cooked 4 burger patties. I even put slices of American cheese on them, each of them. And ketchup, and mustard, the whole 9 yards. 4 of them, two each for me and Rachel. That took a grand total of, I don't know, in terms of actual attention from me, probably like 15 minutes or something. But in terms of cooking time, a good 30, 45 minutes of all the prep and everything, yeah. So I'm busy. I got a lot of stuff to do. I forgot. After that, I had to go in the house and fuck around on the piano. So that was pretty important. And then Rachel wanted to fuck around on the piano too, of course. So we had to play fuck around on the piano for a while. I don't have time for squaws and braves and teepees and other savage nonsense, okay? I'm a busy, busy man. Got important things to do. You wouldn't understand because you don't know the first thing about the meaning of the word important. Huh. Okay, listen. Death killed your father, not Marlboro Reds. Remember that. There's only one party to blame for death, and that's the Grim Reaper. Let's stop trying to attribute death to things that aren't the Grim Reaper. Cigarettes are no joke. Oh, that's really something. Cigarettes take over people's lives. Ruin lives. Really? He died from smoking? I mean, didn't he die from some sort of respiratory disorder? Like lung cancer or emphysema or something? Or did he die of a heart attack? And they said, well, it was smoking because of high blood pressure. Or did he die of a car crash? And they said, but he was smoking the whole time, so he died of smoking. Or what? Smoking in general. Well, good news, James Careless. I only smoke in specific. So, I should be fine. Yeah, heart disease. Right. He did not die of smoking. He died of heart disease. At least if you tell me he died of emphysema, I'll go, okay, he died of smoking. Lung cancer? Okay, he died of smoking. Heart disease? The fuck? The fuck? That's what I'd say about that. Well, I guess if I had to choose a way of dying, I would probably select either the guillotine or the shooting squad. I mean, he had a shitty heart, you know? Some people have hearts that are shittier and don't have as long a shelf life as others, you know? Some people who are chubbier throughout their lives, their heart is working harder the whole time, pushing blood through more flesh, right? I'm tall and skinny, so I don't have that problem. And my heart's had it easy my whole life. It's not been working hard pushing blood through extra flesh, right? So naturally it's going to have a longer shelf life. These things are just common sense. Your father was probably overweight. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that explains why his heart didn't have as long a shelf life as somebody who's not. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to claim that smoking is a good way to encourage heart health, but I am saying that I am totally unconvinced that if somebody dies of heart disease and smokes, that their death is smoking related. James Careless. You don't need to say you breathe air. You don't need to say you reside here on Earth. And you don't need to say you do a line of coke if it's in front of you. Obviously, that's true for everybody. There ain't nobody in the world who won't do a line of coke in front of them. You want this line of coke? Yes. Is there any other word? Is there any other word that could possibly be said in response to that? Unless you've just done a whole shit ton of it and you're done or something. But I mean, it's like if you just walk in fresh into a room and someone's like, hey, we're doing bumps. Do you want a real Coke? Do you need to ask? Yeah. Can I have two? I thought you didn't like Coke, Eric. I don't. But free Coke? Fuck yeah. And you know, I'll probably do it and be like, this is why I don't like Coke. It makes me so gacky. Because the the numbing of the back of the throat and stuff, it makes me super gacky. Like it makes me want to feel like I'm gonna puke, kind of nauseous, you know. And it takes a while to like get over the physical meow of it, and then the amount of time where you're really amped up. Hopefully they put a little bit of meth in it. That always helps. If they did, sometimes they do put a little bit of meth in the Coke to make it pop more. But then you know, oh, this is good Coke. This is not good. It started out as Coke. That's not Coke. That stopped being Coke 2 hours ago, buddy. This is fantastic Coke. Wow, that stuff really lasts. I do breathe air. I don't live in magma. And I do accept free lines of Coke. 3 things are true for every human being on Earth. Yeah, right. I mean, I know I've done Coke before that they must have had just a little bit of meth in it or something, because that one time I did Coke, I liked it because I'd like do it every few hours, and it was last, and I was like, wow, that stuff's great. I'm up as fuck. Well, it probably was. It was Coke, like it made me all numb and stuff, but my only explanation for why it lasted so long and didn't do the normal gay ass Coke thing of like, okay, I need more in 15 minutes. They probably put meth in it. But you know what? That's not the sort of thing I'm likely to complain about. Hey! Excuse me, cocaine dealer. Did you add some methamphetamine to this cocaine? Oh, you did? Okay, great. Thank you. Can you keep doing that, please? Makes it so much better. I've never done fentanyl. Don't want to. Don't like opiates or opioids either. I don't really like benzos either, but sometimes I get in a little flurry of taking them. Like last few days, I took them because I just wanted to get a bunch of sleep and like didn't want to deal with the world, basically. You know what I think would be a fun way to go? To be torn apart by a pack of wild dogs. You know? That would be interesting. You'd say, hey, I got an original story when you get to heaven, you know, or hell, or wherever you go. You think that's crazy? Listen to how I died. I was running down a canyon in eastern Utah. Florida man calls cops for help testing his meth. That guy must have been so fucking thwacked out when he made that decision. I can't even imagine. Yeah, I just never really got off on opioids or opiates or whatever. Because, well, in part, even if they make me feel good for a little while, when they start to wear off, I get this horrible, like, car sickness feeling. It makes me super pukey for at least as long as it made me feel good. So it's a real punishing hangover for me. And it's the only kind of thing that I've ever experienced really a hangover from, except for alcohol. The last time I did it was Well, last time I did it in any meaningful sense was my dad one time, back when I was, I think I was still with my first wife, so it was a long time ago. But I had this bad cough, and my dad gave me this old bottle of codeine cough syrup he had. And, like, I ended up, like, drinking most of that thing over the course of the night. And I felt fantastic. Just like, oh, this is fucking great. I love this. And then when it wore off, oh my God. It was like seasick, car sick, awful, horrible, sick for like a full day and a half afterwards. So I was just like, okay. And I'd had similar experiences with things like Vicodin before too. So at that point I realized this shit is just absolutely not for me. One time I smoked black tar heroin and just puked my guts out. It just doesn't sit well with me for whatever reason. So that's why I'm not a doer of those. I undid my toes, bought you a rose, but I'm not a doer of those. So true. So true. Hey, thanks for coming here to the Big Brick Wall, our local venue for up-and-coming struggling artists like me, young struggling artists. You know, as a teenager, I don't have a lot of experience in music, but I hope you'll give me a chance. I'm a young struggling artist who wants to do his best in life, and whose only shortcoming is that he sucks ass. Okay. Try to love it anyway. No matter how much it sucks ass, just try. Try to love it. You had a problem with opiates, huh? I never could get to have a problem with them because just even doing them once was always a big problem with them, you know? So I don't know what to do about that. It's like there was no chance for me to get into them, you know? How do I want to die? An interesting question. Why would somebody ask me that? Are they planning some kind of attack? Well, let's just pretend hypothetically they ask me out of curiosity, but I'll answer it accordingly. I don't want to die by being crushed by rocks. I don't want to die of drowning at the docks. Don't want to die in a violent car crash neither. Perhaps I'll go by simply huffing too much ether. That sounds like an okay way to fade away on a cloud of ether. Where you gonna get that though? They don't have it at the local beef and barn. I guess I could go in some way exciting like an airplane crash. Or I could die of sticking something too large up my ass. I could die when a coconut lands square upon my head, crushing my skull till there's nothing behind and I'm 100% dead. want to die of drowning. Don't want to die of heat. Don't want to die because a bunch of men with clubs did beat me. Don't want to be bludgeoned, no one. Don't want a curmudgeon's toe to suffocate me by clogging all my orifices. Perhaps I could die by hang glide, lean into a tree or two. Perhaps I'll die because I'll ask why to the wrong guy who's telling me to give me all his money. Hey, but why? That's my money, not yours. Then he shoots me in the head, and I guess that's what for. I'm dead now, in a box. I thought I told you throw me in the magma where it's hot. Oh, that's silly. That's a silly song. That's what that is. That's silly. I like silly things, though. I'm a fan of the silly. Living in a trailer, we would drink all day long. Sometimes dance, sometimes sing, getting the words all wrong. We were having a fine time, having everything we need. But she was a fertile girl, and I had a fertile seed. Guess you should stop drinking now, we want a little mind to be sound. But it wouldn't happen to me, I've never found. Guess you should stop drinking, cause we want a little mind to be sound. It's still gonna happen to me, old song I used to sing with a band I played in called Puppy Bus, where we didn't really have a lot of great songs or anything, but it's kind of a team effort, you know. So, team efforts don't necessarily come out well as far as songwriting goes. Sometimes you can have a songwriting partner that works with you well, but it seems to be kind of a solo endeavor, you know? I come from New York City, down to Florida, yeah. Come from old Chicago to California, way. Well, I never left the place I loved, 'cause I was out the door. And I'm 1/2 step from Utah and 2 miles from Idaho. So when you ask me, darling, do I have a trucker's rose? Well, I gotta tell you, baby, from my head down to my toes. Drive all night and I drive all day to be home by the end of the week. And I gotta tell you, baby, things are looking mighty bleak. I'm a couple of pair of underwear away from Tennessee, driving west to see my best girl, old Linda Lee. Driving fast and I'm drinking beer, radio's on a Judd. And I'm 1/2 step from Utah and 2 miles out of the mud. So when you ask me, darling, do I have a trucker's woes? Well, I gotta tell you, baby, from my head down to my toes. Drive all night and I drive all day to be home by the end of the week. And I gotta tell you, baby, things are looking mighty bleak. Wow, what a terrible job you did. Yes. Yes, I did. And you know how it goes. Sometimes you suck ass, and sometimes you're not so suck ass. That's life in the big city. You just have to get used to it. Mostly growing up has to do with accepting that your cup is mostly filled of nothing but liquid ass suck. When you're young, you can fool yourself. Say, hey, I'm pretty good, I guess. Look at me and my talents, gee. Who could deny me? What a special guy, oh gee. But when you grow up, you see that you suck. You suck. You suck. You suck. You suck. You suck so badly that you cannot stand anything you do. Everything you make makes you feel like you're eating poo. Every piece of art, every song and every poem, they just make you feel like you are lower than Lowenstein, the lowest guy in Steintown, the lowest form of Stein. You know you're lowly worm-like in that Richard Scary rhyme. The lowliest of the creatures, so failure-rich and poor, so useless and so pointless. You're just a stupid whore. Accept it. And that's how I encourage myself each morning when I start my day. I say, hey Eric, remember, a good day starts with an affirmation of the self. A real affirmation, you know? A real affirmation of the self. Oh. You know, if you can be tender with nobody else, be tender with yourself. Treat yourself tenderly. Treat yourself to a box of chicken tenders. That's right. Of all the chicken foods you can get, they are known as one of the top 5 most tender of the chicken-related foods. Sure, they're not as tender as chicken salad. Oh, no, they're less tender, granted, than chicken pate. Either of those is clearly the more tender of the chicken formats, but they're more tender than hard fried chicken cooked into the shape of feel of a rock. Thank God. You're living on a time frame I will never know. Alienation and humanity's soul. Imagine you a history after the collapse, returning to the urgency of isolated past. Picturing community free of metaphysics. You're hunting buffalo while you're picking red delicious. Knowledge of the seasons, wisdoms of old. Fires blazing in the night to keep away the cold. Hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way of life as children of the land. With an agave weatherman weatherman. Imagining a future, imagining a history that never could have been. You lecture at the college, advancement is a sin. Lamenting disconnection and every corporate act. Asserting all your feelings and ignoring all the facts. Hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way of life as children of the land, with an agave weatherman. Find modernity just so banal. Wish you had been born any time but now, and your experience won't run afoul of exceptions you might allow. You visualize nobility sipping on some port, tribes of peaceful savages in beautiful comport, but few of history's people ever thusly did cavort. Yet life was nasty, solitary, brutish, poor, and short. Hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way of life as children of the land, with an agave weatherman. With an agave weatherman. My voice is kind of shot tonight, so that's why I suck so bad. Sorry. That's my excuse. I got an excuse, everybody. That should make it all okay, because I have an excuse. Whenever you've got an excuse, no one can blame you for anything. That's what excuses are for. I'm not sure you quite got the excuse thing down right, Eric. It's not quite how it's intended to be interpreted. What do you mean? I mean, no. Oh, well, he's pucker tart, lemon squeeze, the friendliest guy that you will see. Yes, he wants to be your friend, but he comes from around the bend, and it will be a while till he sees you again. He's pucker tart, lemon squeeze, he's a friend to you and me. He's international delights, favorite go-to right-hand guy. He's international like him, but he is also busy like his friend the beaver bee. Busiest creature, busy as bee, busy as a beaver, and so much busier than pucker tart lemon squeeze. Pucker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-dee-ba-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Pucker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-dee-ba-day. Yes, he's pucker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-dee-ba-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Pucker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-dee-ba-day. And if you go to visit him for starts, remember to bring something sour or tart. He's not a fan of sugary treats because he's pucker tart and not pucker sweet. Well, he's pucker tart lemon squeeze, the friendliest guy that you will see. Yes, he wants to be your friend, but he comes from around the bend, so it will be a while till he sees you again. He's pucker tart lemon squeeze, he's a friend to you and me. He's international delights, favorite go-to right-hand guy. He's international like him, but also busy like his friend the beaver bee. Busiest creature, busy as a bee, busy as a beaver, and so much busier than pucker tart lemon squeeze. Well, he's pucker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-dee-ba-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Pucker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-dee-ba-day. Yes, he's pucker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-dee-ba-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Pucker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-dee-ba-day. Pucker tart. Again, terrible. Just everything's terrible. If you're still here, why? Everything I'm doing is terrible. It's all terrible. I haven't played one of these songs well. They're all just been disastrous fuck-ups. I'll close with this one. It's a very cloudy day. in Los Angeles. And today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Can someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles. Cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say. Life can strangely be forgiving for those who stay awake all night. And mostly voices say to give in. They'll try to sap your will to find. But whether I'm supposed to be here or just be super goddamn noise is sort of based on what I see here and also on what I avoid. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles. And today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Seems we bought us some more time. Cloudy day in Los Angeles. Cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say. Something to say. Passing. I'd say that wasn't a war crime. Better than a war crime. That's how low my bar has gotten. I'm pretty pleased. That one came out better than a war crime. Look, it's like I get it in some sense that I'm being unnecessarily harsh on myself, but the thing is, I know when I'm feeling it, when it sounds good, and when it's all put together properly, my voice is right, and everything falls into place, and I nail it. I know what it sounds like when it's that, right? And when it's not that, I'm mad about it. Not mad, but like, I just want to smack myself in the face. I just want to say, you stop sucking. Like that. Right now. But everybody feels that way, sometimes when you're doing whatever it is you do, and you're just like sick of yourself, you're sick of what you are, or who you are, or what you're doing, or whatever, and you're just like, stop sucking right now. I will play that in a second. And I'll also play Wonderful, Wonderful Kitty. That's one song that I've been enjoying playing. It's also a song that, more than any song I can remember, from anything I've written or the radio, obviously stuff that's I've written gets stuck in my head more than it would if somebody else had written it, because I have that extra familiarity with it, right? But the song that gets stuck in my head more than any other fucking song ever is Wonderful, Wonderful Kitty. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times, always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. It's like well, thanks, Alien 60. I appreciate all your positive regards and everything. I don't mean to be shitting in myself to fish for praise or anything. I'm just I'm just... It's just my way of saying, like, yeah, not everything is perfect, and it's my way of expressing I'm not feeling enthusiastic about my own shit right now. It's not really as negative as it sounds. Okay, I, I don't. Those name calling things don't stick on me very much anymore. Like maybe they used to. I still call myself names and stuff. When I knock shit over, I still say, "Eric, you stupid fucking idiot." Blah blah blah. I still do that, but I don't really mean it like I used to. Okay. Well. Yeah, my bad. I'll stop doing that. It's bad FE. I'll stop doing it for that reason, nothing else. It's like I'm forgetting I've got people around. Just talking to myself. Like, thinking of it like, if I were practicing for a show, and would I be satisfied with that rendition of it? No. That was basically like that. But Wonderful, Wonderful Kitty. Now, there's a song that's got some sort of magic to it, because I don't know about you guys, but this song gets stuck in my head constantly. Like today when we were waiting for Delilah to come out, I started singing, "Wonderful, wonderful daughter of mine," and I made up some other words to it because it just goes, you know. Yeah, I think so, Winston's mom. I think that's true. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, such a fabulous soft friend. And now it's wonderful kitty, bedding time again. Just let me bet you, don't walk away. It's bedding time. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. But your wonderful kitty is a fabulous mess I've never encountered before. And I know that I want to pet my kitty some more. Just let me pet you, don't walk away. It's bedding time. Hooray! That song, I don't feel bad after I'm done playing that song. I didn't play it perfectly, but I like it so much. It's such a weird song. Like, what is this song? Is it a song that's a jingle for something? It sounds like a jingle, but it's not a jingle. It's like, but it plays really well as a guitar song too. That's the weird thing. I never thought it would. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, fabulous our friend. And now it's wonderful bedding time again. Just let me pet you, don't walk away. It's bedding time. There's two verses. The second one's a little different, you know. But yeah, I know. Well, it started off live as a short with me just singing to the cat. I was making a bunch of shorts that were me singing real songs to the cat, like you are a cat I will pet with my hand now. Things like that for shorts. And then one day I sang to the cat. She was just sitting there cleaning herself, and I just sang the beginning bit. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. But it got so stuck in my head that I had to make the rest of a song out of it, you know? Because I just couldn't stop singing it. Some things are like that. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a great song, but it definitely has this earwormy quality to it, you know? You've been away, and I've been okay, and you've been busy, I know, and I can't take it down. I gotta remember how to play that. I gotta figure that song out again. That's a really good song that I never play, but it's called Some People Say. It's a good one. It's a simple one. It's kind of in the vein of Matter of Mood, except it's a waltz. It's not in 4. When I was younger, it seemed that everything gleamed. I don't know what happened to me, but I've lost that sense of urgency, and I don't think that I'll ever see it again. If you follow my lead, you'll discover I'm loster than you, and you'll wanna know the way to get back at you, wherever it was you thought you knew. And tomorrow will be just like today. I'll be lost then too. It's a matter of mood as much as a matter of will, and the things I do and the direction I point to still seem a part of me, though departedly. And I wonder if I'll ever see them again. Bum-ba-dee-da, ba-dee-da-dee-da, bum-ba-dee-da, da-da-da. Bum-ba-dee-da, ba-dee-da-da-da, bum-ba-dee-da, da-da-da. That was fine. That was nice. More suitable to my mood. So therefore, more pleasing to play, I guess. What mood am I in? I'm in this mood. Oh. 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 That's my mood. ENTJs will sing that song is, it's a matter of will. There's no such thing as mood. You're just not setting your goals hard enough. You're not goal oriented enough. You gotta hammer those goals. Hammer it. Yeah. You got a really clear rendition right there of my emotions. I just played it exactly what my emotions are right now. Just like that. If that doesn't clarify, then nothing will. Alright, helpful goods. Every life lived reaches a time when the road splits in two. There are times, dark times, times of despair, times when it's hard to feel good. That's when I look for my sack full of solvency and a satchel of helpful goods, and a satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Every life lived reaches a time when the road comes to an end. I'm there, will there be anybody else around? Or will I travel all alone? That's when I'll look for my sack full of solvency and a satchel filled up with bones. Yeah, that satchel, now nothing but home. Satchel of helpful goods. 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 Such as rope, a canteen, a hunk of cheese. Here's some spinnerets, some pasties in case you need to do any pole dancing. A lot of helpful goods in this package here, huh? Helpful goods galore. I went to the river, I went in the water, I went down to look for a baby daughter. I went and saw myself inside the reflection in the blue. Okay, I have a cheese song called Russ and Stephen delight in delivering cheese every day. And the dairy that employs them ensures they earn quite reasonable pay. Russ has cheddar, American, and Swiss too. He'll bring it all to you, Stephen oversees from his desk easily. He oversees the cheese. Russ and Stephen, we're gambling, we're betting on hurricane names, and down on the east. Russ broke even when he bet that Hurricane Jane became Bernice. But he laments a lost chance at his life of ease. He is happy working at the dairy, delivering the cheese. And it's got a bridge part. Russ and Stephen are a couple of guys, work at the dairy from 9 to 5. Russ and Stephen think they've arrived, work at the dairy the rest of their lives. And the other voice goes to the top of it. Russ and Stephen love delivering cheese. Russ and Stephen love delivering cheese. But it's a piano song, so I don't know how to play it on the guitar. I should figure it out. It's my only piano song. I wrote one song on the piano. But it's like, it's complicated to play. Like, I can't really play it. And I have to practice it a bunch. Then I can play it. But I have to work it before I can actually play it on the piano. But it has the melody line going with the right hand the whole time. So it's kind of a challenging piano song to play, way beyond my piano ability. But it's the only piano song I can play because it's the only one I made up. I mean, I can play chopsticks. I can do that. El Nino, my ass. You call those storms? Where is the rain? Those drizzles don't count, I drizzle more when I pee in the sink, which is just the right height to catch all of the undesired splatter. And when I'm done, I'll go outside and climb a ladder. I will go up there and take me a bucket and pour water inside. And I'll say, hey, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom. Hey, Mr. Cloud, won't you drop it from the bottom? Hey, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom on me. Yeah, I did. We did that earlier. We went in and played on the piano because my dad's out of town. He's good opportunity to do that. I tried playing Russ and Steven. I had some trouble with it. Let's see. Like here. I can't find the part where I was practicing Russ and Steven. But as you can see, I was just trying to do like little bass line loopy things. You can't really tell because there's no drums or anything. It just sounds like me just catastrophically failing. But there's method to my madness, okay? So, it's like I haven't tried messing with that particular part that we were just listening to, but I've got this kind of like rolling bass line thing that goes under a 180 beat that if I could get it timed out right, it might sound cool. I don't know. I started with something under a 140 beat first, which is a little bit more ponderous. It needs guitar or something, It's like this other thing that I actually put a little work into rather than just the raw piano. Sounds like this. And this is potentially a very good beat to freestyle over. It's not too fast and it rolls along nice and it's got a nice style. And I could go ahead and do what I want to when I want to do it. And it drops and it drops and it makes me want to say sue it. Sue it for a lot of money cause it violated my rights by giving me mesothelioma. Why you make me want to breathe that asbestos? Why you want to make me want to test us? You know I'll fuck you to court for that because mesothelioma is giving me a heart attack. Yeah, it's a good beat to freestyle over. This is the bridge or whatever. Yeah. This is the bridge. Bridge time? What? Who ordered a bridge? Not me. Just go right back into the regular part, please. Okay? Here we go. Now I can rap again, like it was normal. Like I was somebody who had a bore hole inside of a side of a thing where I bored in there and I put my spring and I hit it there and covered it up with leaves. So when you kick my knee into it, instead of pinking my knee, make me mad. Instead of pushing the spring and make it bounce back. That would be better for me. It would be better for the tree. It would be better for we if you and me are the tree. That's clear. That's indisputably the truth. Can't you see? Surely you can. This is like not much to it. It's just for like freestyling over or something, you know. It's easy to freestyle over. Well, I suppose you could sing a song over this. You could go, yeah, look at me, look at this, my hand, and I'll turn it into a fist. Why do you always want me to sing about your glands? Your thyroid gland, your pituitary gland. What's in your hand? It better be up piano, that's grand. You could make up a song over it too, like that, I guess, but it seems more of a rapping freestyle beat, you know. Has anybody seen the bridge? Has anybody seen the bridge? How do you learn music when you're not cool enough? Ooh, let me tell you, to get to be cool, the first thing you gotta do is devote many years to uncoolness. Cringy failure and assorted other uncoolessnesses. Then finally, maybe, you'll get to be considered cool by 12 people. Maybe, if you're lucky. And the rest of people just think you're some kind of weird, crazy guy. You want to live that life? Go for it. Be my guest. Okay? It's not all it's cracked up to be. I got nothing but brick walls in front of me and glass ceilings above me. It's all thanks to ageism. I blame ageism for the glass ceiling. Okay. Is CJ still around here? CJ, why don't you stream now? I'll stop. How about that? I'm done streaming now. Are you still here, CJ? I thought I felt your tender fingertips on my testicles. Was that somebody else? I usually can tell CJ's fingertips from other people's. No, my dad won't notice that I played the piano because I put everything back exactly the way I found it. I did move a couple things that might have rattled on top of the piano, but I noted where I moved them from and put them back in exactly the same spot. With the chairs back, you cannot tell we were there. It was like we were never there. You gotta be that way around with Dave Strauss's home, okay? He doesn't like his shit fucked with. That's just all there is to it. But he's fine with me using it and stuff. Like, he'll often like welcome me to use things, but then what he doesn't get or explain right away is that I'm welcome to use it in exactly the following fashion with the following unstated conditions that need to be met. So, you know, He'd be fine with me playing the piano. He doesn't have any problem with me using stuff in the house or going to the house and doing stuff. I don't go in there and use stuff and do stuff because what he does have a problem with is me leaving things at all different than I found them. Oh, there you are, CJ. Yeah, I'm going to stop live streaming now, so you have to start live streaming. That's the law. What, you can't live stream because copyright? I don't know. But try anyway. Everybody go to CJ's house. CJ, I'm making you a moderator so you can put your meow here. Put your meow for your house, and then after party at CJ's. After party at CJ's. Well, you know, homophobia is complicated. I'm a slightly homophobic, self-hating part of a gay couple, so you know, I've had to get used to scissoring. I used to think it didn't count as real sex. Now I know better. Put your meow. My dad, as if my dad would watch my videos. As if. As if he'd watch enough to know all of this stuff. Fuck no. He's not interested in me. He is not interested in me at all. You know? I think when he lists things that bore me more than anything in the world, near the top of his list is Eric. And you can't stream right now? Why not? Now you're blowing it. Now everyone's going to say, well, I thought CJ was cool, but I guess not. Now everyone's going to say that, CJ. Is that what you want? That's what you're asking for. By refusing to stream right now. For no reason. Except spite. Except your spiteful, hateful ways. It's the only reason you're refusing to stream right now. Grow up, CJ. Grow up. You're being really immature right now. He made me hit my cigarette sternly. Alright, well then Alien 60, if you're gonna stream, I guess everyone go to Alien 60's house. Are you going to, or you might going to? All these mites. God. I feel like the inside of a cat's ear. Alright, well I guess there's no after party, so sorry guys, everybody go home. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, as they say at the bars. You know. CJ apparently is picking the sand out of his vagina right now, so we don't really have any other options. I'm sorry you got so much sand in your vagina, CJ. Next time, try to pick it out before it's your turn to stream. God. Good night. I love you with all my tenderness. And don't forget to eat plenty of self-affirmation.